What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Wanted to come on here and talk about Aaron Glenn confirming his plans for the final preseason game and some news and notes from Jets training camp where the Jets are getting healthy. Let's start with some of the health stuff. So Jermaine Johnson and Quinnen Williams are each taking part in portions of the team period of practice, which is good. Those guys are ramping up for the beginning of the regular season. I would not anticipate seeing either one of those guys in the final preseason game against the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll get into that at the end with Aaron Glenn comments, but it's not just those two. It's also AZ Thomas, who you can't forget to bring up. But looking at specifically Jermaine and Quinnen, and no disrespect to AZ, he's just not going to be slotted in as a starter where Jermaine and Quinnen will be. This is huge. The Jets' depth on the defensive line is questionable at best. I feel pretty good about the top two edge rushers, Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald, but beyond that is not great. We've seen, Michael Clemens as the next man up. Rashad Weaver has been invisible in the summer. Eric Watts, Braden McGregor haven't really shown a whole lot. And Tyler Barron, almost forgot that he was a New York Jet. Hasn't really shown all that much either. You could say the same thing about the interior defensive line. I know Jay Tufele had a really good first week in the preseason. Byron Coward's been out, but after that, it's been a little quiet. Leonard Taylor made a play in the first preseason game. That was good. But the interior defensive line without Quinnen, not so much. So getting those guys back in the mix is big for this team. It was a weird Breece Hall day. He suffered from some drops at training camp. That's really something that I want to see him clean up. He had, a couple drop issues last year and fumble issues last year. And I think it's just really because he's going to be relied on a lot as a pass catcher. And this team can't afford drop issues, right? Like, a lot has to go right for this team to have success offensively. And Breece Hall with drops as the second most targeted player in the offense and the passing attack is, again, clearly not ideal. And, for him in particular, he's going into the last year of his contract. Braylon Allen's had a really strong start to training camp. And if that carries over into the season, I think that just adds a little bit more fire under Breece. Now, Braylon, to his credit, has been a significantly better pass catcher than I anticipated coming out of college, just because Wisconsin never used him as a pass catcher. So we really didn't know. He can catch, but not like Breece is the better route runner and is more dynamic with the ball in his hands. So he can't exactly be used as a one-for-one comparison as a pass catcher, but running, he's certainly looked so far better running, running the football. All around is maybe a different story depending on who you talk to. But, at the end of the day here, I think the Jets have a plan to use both running backs. And, for Breece, he's going into, again, a contract year. He needs to have a bounce back season in a big way in 2025. Okay, on the passing offense, I know that big talking point coming out of the Giants game. They started out pretty hot, but then cooled off at the end, kind of reminiscent of the joint practice between the Jets and the Giants last week. Fields went 14 of 23 and 11 on 11, 5 of 10 and 7 on 7, which isn't a phenomenal completion percentage. There were a good amount of drops mixed in. That was an issue for Breece today. I know Jeremy Ruckert had a drop. That's something that you want to get cleaned up before the start of the regular season. But again, kind of a mixed day for the passing. And when it started to get cold, and the area of concern was the move the ball period and the 2-minute drill. So in the 2-minute drill, you had sack, false start, throwaway, 11 yards on 3rd and 25, punted away. So obviously not very pretty there. In the move the ball, you had a holding and then a 20-yard pass to Garrett, a sack, 12-yard pass, incomplete and incomplete to round it out. So kind of a mixed bag, and it's not all Justin Fields, right? Like the penalties of a false start penalty and a holding penalty, that's two things and two areas that Aaron Glenn has emphasized on needing to clean up. Those are drive killers. And like I talked about with drops, penalties are another big issue because they don't have the kind of offense where you go, it doesn't really matter. We're just going to air it out anyway. And we feel confident in picking up, the 15, 20 yards. That's not how this team is built. They are going to run the crap out of the ball, and they want to put themselves in good down and distance territories. And starting out at 1st and 20 really hampers that. Don't hit the panic button. Sauce Gardner left practice with a leg. It looked like he was shaken up a little bit, but Aaron Glenn, after practice, confirmed that he got kicked in the leg and he should be fine. It was just a stinger, as they call it. Don't like to see that, but put Sauce in bubble wrap into the start of the season, please. Don't want to see him with any kind of injuries. Now, to the comment portion of the program, Aaron Glenn said not all starters will play against the Philadelphia Eagles on Friday.
Some starters won't play in this game. I won't get into the who's or whatnot, but, a good amount of starters won't play. It gives us a chance to look at some of our other young guys and give them plenty of playing time so we can evaluate them.
I'm sure there's going to be a couple guys that play. Like, I don't necessarily know if Justin Fields is going to get reps, but I would guess what he means by some starters, like Membu, maybe Olu Fashanu, maybe Joe Tippmann, guys like that. I could see getting some reps here. Don't expect Garrett or Quinnen or Sauce or, guys like that. But I think we'll see some players who end up in starting roles play in this game. But it's not going to be like, hey, here's the full starting offense for 2 drives. They might mix and match a little bit, but I wouldn't, again, anticipate a large majority of the starters playing in this game based on the comments. I also thought Aaron Glenn had a funny comment kind of putting to bed the Breece Hall trade rumors.
That's the youngest guy in the league, and I think he's shown exactly who he can be when it comes to the running game. I can't just say off the top of my head like how many yards he's average per play, but, I think it's up there for the most part. So, listen, we have like 3 good running backs, and I keep saying that. And listen, they all have different skill sets that we're going to utilize. And that does not mean I'm trading Breece. Okay? It's not. So I'm going to say that right now. I just like having 3 good guys.
So he's talking some Braylon Allen and then chimed in and was like, that doesn't mean I'm trading Breece because, well, people have been running with that a little bit. So I thought it was a funny comment, and it's true. Like, he loves having both of those guys, and that's kind of what I've been trying to say. I think they're going to utilize both players and Isaiah Davis in this offense, which is fine. I think if you're going to be a run-heavy team, you need multiple backs because guys get banged up. I understand that you might want to trade Breece Hall for a pick and just lean on Braylon Allen, but I don't think this is the year for that. I think they're going to utilize him and then kind of just take it from there. But love the comments from Glenn at the end of the press conference there. That's it for me in this one. Let me know your thoughts on training camp down below in the comments. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.